Hey everyone, GameHounds podcast. How are you? How's things? Sorry, we are a bit late. Um, I
I
had a
mean, you may be late. I arrived exactly when I
yes,
meant to.
you absolutely did, and I
What?
I will give you full credit for that.
uh, I'm like Gandalf. I'm never late. I'm never early. I arrive exactly when I mean to.
No,
Hmm.
no, you have been late. I don't know if
No.
I've ever known you to be early. So we're getting ready for the show. I don't have many things. You see what I have to talk about. I don't have many things to talk about this week. It's just not been my week this week. But I do
Okay.
need to change my camera settings. For some reason, this camera loves to come in hot.
What do you mean?
It's always really, really like washed out. And I
Mm,
don't know why.
hmm.
Um,
I actually switched to using the USB camera again.
okay.
Before, I've been using the laptop camera.
Oh, good. Yes, I was gonna say, I noticed last week when I was watching the show afterwards, because I like to check on the show to make sure that things went well and, it looks good. I noticed that your camera kinda looked like ass, and I'm like, "Oh, I wonder if he's doing it the right way."
Yeah, it's
So,
it's. I have a limited number of USB ports. I got to make the most of them.
it's called a hub, Nick. They're fairly inexpensive. Would you like me to buy you a hub for Christmas?
No, no, that's okay.
Okay.
You already got the headphones. You
That's true.
don't get other
I got
stuff.
I got the headphones
Yeah.
for you. So yeah, let's start the show because I gotta tell you what my week was like.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go
I
into
I did see a stream when getting the broadcasts ready. I saw a stream that had an interesting title,
well, let's hold on. Hold on. We will
but
talk about it in a second.
but I also
First,
have to say, just it was 2 hours long,
yeah.
and I'm curious how that story lasts 2 hours.
Oh, well, because it was a gameplay video. So I was playing Crusader Kings, but I was also talking about my story,
Gotcha.
which I will tell you about in just a minute. So let's start the show. Hey, we got AC Wraith. How you doing, kiddo? We got Vice Ravana in the chat room. How you doing? Goth Edie, darker lipstick. No, it's not darker lipstick. Same lipstick I always use. It's just different. We will talk about why things look different right now for me. And I might actually even sound different. I don't know. Uh let's see. I got the cat a new pair of headphones. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Can we start the show now?
Mhm.
All right. Starting the show.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 654. We are recording this on Sunday, September 25th, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers. We got Nick DiNicola in the chat room. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
So we were talking earlier about a story that I have for you, and I did talk about it on Twitch. So Nick, you knew that I had a story, right?
Yes,
How did you know?
because when I was creating the broadcast, I could see the past broadcasts, and the past broadcast was not GameHounds 290, or it wasn't our Elden Ring final playthrough. It was something else. It was
Yes.
you. It was like I killed a spider with a blowtorch.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's my I killed a spider with a blowtorch story. The dot on it being is I killed a spider with a blowtorch and burned my house down. And this is not literal, it is figurative. I figuratively did that. So are you aware of this? I hesitate to call it a virus because it is a virus, but it's not a virus. It's more a potentially unwanted application, a PUA. It's not it's pretty benign, but technically it is a virus. It is called the Bing redirect virus, and it attacks Chrome. Are you familiar
I've
with
heard
it?
of that. I've heard of this. Yes.
Yeah. So I have a Mac. I am a dyed-in-the-wool hardcore Mac user. Yes, I do use PC. Yes, I can appreciate PC, but when on a desert island, I will always have a Mac before I have a PC. If I had to pick one. One of the nice things about being a Mac user for the last 40 years that I've been using computers is I have never needed to have antivirus software. I have not gotten a virus up till now, ever. And I think it was once, and it was on my I don't call it throwaway. It was kind of like my throwaway PC laptop that I would take to when I was going to college. Because if it got stolen, nothing was on it. It was like, if it got broken, it got broken. Or if it got stolen, it was nothing big. I got a virus on there, and it was because I was hurrying. I was trying to do something. I was trying to get through, and I got this pop-up that said, your Adobe needs to be updated. And I was like, just fuck. And I hit it and was like, oh, shit. Sure enough, yeah, it was a virus. And of course, I had to just I just restored my whole computer. I just erased everything because there was nothing on it I didn't need. That was the only time I've ever had a virus on any computer I owned. So I noticed it. Well, 2 weeks ago, I noticed that all of a sudden was being redirected. And it was like, oh, crap. I've got that fucking Chrome virus. So I went through all the process of getting rid of it.
Bing. Who wants to? The only people that use Bing are people that are infected by a virus.
Exactly. So I erased, I did all the steps to get rid of it, did all the, cursory stuff. And I was thinking I was okay. And then it was during this show last week that I was doing some kind of search, and I didn't mention it, but I was like, God damn it. And I said something like that.
Yeah, I do remember you saying something like, oh, well, I keep getting redirected to Bing.
Yes.
I think it was during the Millennia stream. Because I heard you say
maybe,
that.
Yes, it was during the Millennia stream.
I was like, I'm too busy. I can't ask her about that.
Yes, it was during the Millennia stream that I realized that I still had this thing. So I had done all the easy steps you're supposed to do. And there's a caveat to it, is if that doesn't clear it, it's clearly deeper in your system and you need to go hunt it down.
Mm.
Well, it was Sunday night after the Millennia show, and I was like, fuck, I could spend half a day hunting down every single process and looking to see what was there and looking for that one little teeny tiny dinky tiny script that was sending me to Bing. Or I'm a Mac user. I have Time Machine. I can just restore my whole computer from back before this happened 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Which it did. Now, Kevin was always my Mac technician. I mean, I know enough. I can get myself along. Kevin knew a lot more than I did. And he was the person that would talk me out of doing dumb things. Like thinking I'm smarter than I am. Like, I'm just going to restore my whole system from Time Machine. How bad could it be?
I mean, that's not a bad idea. Windows has system restore, where if you make a checkpoint and that, when going in and deleting X, Y, and Z doesn't work, the next step is system restore.
Mm-hmm.
That it makes sense.
Right. It makes logical sense. Yeah, it took 4 days.
to
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 reload
to restore.
to restore my
Why?
computer.
Why?
I don't know. When I finally got everything restored in the process, when I got
No,
everything restored,
you can't just skip over those 4 days. What was it doing for those 4 days? Was it like
transferring data.
on and plugged in?
It was on, plugged in,
It
transferring data.
it had a bar, and that bar kept filling up over the course of 4 days.
It kept filling up over the course of 4 days, and it would say, okay, it's going to be 10 hours. It's going to be 19 hours before it. And then I look and, and the next morning it'd be like, okay, it's going to be 14 hours. I'm like, okay, well, maybe just kind of it's going over a slow spot. I go to work. I came back and it says 22 hours. I'm like, oh my God. So I did another one
is-
of my genius ideas and
That's
thought, you know what?
terrible.
Something must be wrong. I'm just going to restart my computer in the middle of a backup.
I mean, again, if it says it's going to take 23 hours to restore backup, my first thought is I'm shutting that down.
Well, 23 hours is pretty reasonable for my system. That is not unreasonable. I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff on my computer that is all very, very difficult to work with. So, the fact that it was actually like getting longer the more that I waited, that told me there was something wrong. So I restarted my computer in the middle of the backup and restarted it again. And it was a little dicey there for a minute because, of course, my hard drive was now completely empty and partially like updated in a weird state, which computers don't like this. Hard drives don't like to be kind of halfway updated and then abandoned. So I had to kind of reformat my hard drive, reformat everything, start over from clean. It took me another day to get it done. So we were now 2 days into it, 3 days into it. Took another day for it to be updated, or restored. It did, but then none of my mailboxes were correct. And then, of course, I had individual files that had been created in the previous week, like we have now been 3 weeks, and it's going on now 4 weeks that I have not updated the podcast audio episodes because, of course, podcast audio episodes, several of them happened after I did the restore. So I have to go back in and pull those individual files out, which isn't a problem, but I have to do it. And then, of course, I had like most of a week that I couldn't even use my computer. So all of my and then my email boxes were corrupt. Well, not corrupt, but they had to be restored individually, which means I had to go in individually to all of the probably 20 different emails inboxes that I have.
What? This is a sign. You need to slim down.
No, I can't slow down.
You need to cut some of this. You don't need 20 emails. I don't care what they're all for. You can combine some of those. You can slim those down.
It's yes and no. Yes and no. Actually, I really can't slim them down. I really, there's a couple of them I can slim down, but
Is it like
maybe two.
Every email account is for a different company?
There are multiple email accounts for multiple different businesses.
Why can't you just get all those? Why can't you get those on the same email?
Because they are registered at different places.
What do you mean?
Each of my houses that I am a landlord to has its own email, so that way all of the different, for example, the 7 or 8 different garbage bills that I get go to those individual emails. So I know that the email in that that email for the garbage bill, which does not have the service address on it, because garbage bills don't fucking put the service address on it. You have to go online to find it. So I know that if it arrives in that email box, that is the garbage for that
You just
particular building
you just have to
or that
remember to
particular.
check that email.
If I took all of the emails and stuck them all into the same one, I would have 8 every month. I would have 8 different emails from the garbage company alone and not know which address that each of those were for.
Hmm.
We're getting into the weeds. Bottom line, I
I
got about
I
20
like
different emails.
I do like Vice's theory
Mm.
that
Go ahead and pull it up.
they're convinced that you're a double spy.
I'm a double spy or something. No,
Yeah.
I have a
20
really
email
complicated
addresses
life.
for 10 different identities.
Right. So I have 2 different businesses. One of those businesses has several rental buildings in it, each of which has an email address. Then I have GameHounds, which has several different emails for me. Like, all right, there is the email, the gamehounds@gmail.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is also the gamehounds.net emails, several of them, because they started out as edie@gamehounds.net, and then that got spammed up really bad. But that's an email that I have registered with a number of different developers who are sending like press releases and stuff. Then I also have sellers@gamehounds.net, because that's the email where I get things from PAX, because that's registered with PAX. Then I had to create another email for my consoles because it was all inundated by spam. It's not that they're inundated by it's not spam. It's not like spam. It's like
Press
podcast
release.
spam.
It's press releases.
It's press releases and invites to games, and yeah, you see them, you've got them
Yeah, and you know where they go?
in the
My-
garbage.
My main email.
Really?
Yes.
God.
And every day I
Well,
go
you
through
have
it.
a GameHounds email, right?
Yeah, and it redirects to my main email.
Yeah.
So I get everything in one place. And then every day I just go through it and I check.
Your life is infinitely less complex than mine is.
Yeah,
So,
but
bottom line.
also, okay. You don't need a separate email address for the consoles.
I do. Oh
The
God, I'm
consoles,
so glad I did that.
they
So glad I did that.
they don't send you enough things to require you. You could have
That's
like,
where I got my confirmation from Steam that my Steam Deck was ready. I would have never seen that in
it's no
any of
big
the other
loss.
emails. Never seen it in any other emails.
Okay. Are you the type of person that checks their email daily?
Yes.
Are you a zero inbox type of person?
No, not that.
Okay. That's
I'm
why.
definitely not in a zero inbox.
I can't.
So bottom line is I had to restore all of those email inboxes, which was another process. Then, of course, a lot of the adjustments that I had made to things like my camera and my microphone, I had to create the virtual machine that makes the microphone work on the show. Easy Ray says, use some labels and folders. They are all labeled. They are all in folders. They are all organized. If you went into my computer, you would absolutely be amazed at the level of organization that I have. Everything is in folders. Everything is in labeled, because if something happens to me, there's the in case of emergency envelope, which has the keys to now you know where it is. It's the keys to the kingdom. If I get hit by a bus, then my brother or cousins can come in and be able to get in and see everything. No, I'm
Okay.
incredibly. I know that background does not lend you to the idea that I'm unorganized, but I am pretty organized. So anyway, that was my epic, shit show. And yes, I am back. I am here. I'm sorry that there has not been
Okay.
a podcast actually updated on iTunes. It will get done this week now that I'm all up and running.
Important question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still being redirected to Bing?
No.
Okay.
Jesus, don't even say that word. I'm afraid. I'm really afraid.
Knock on wood.
Also, ask me, did I get an antivirus program?
Did you get an antivirus program?
Fuck yes, I did. Fuck yes. So I now officially have my first antivirus, and I got the one that checks everything. Oh my God. I have the Mac antivirus system of all Mac antivirus systems. Literally nothing goes in or out of my computer without me getting a little notice on my desktop that says, "Hey, Adobe's trying to talk to the web. Are you okay with that?" Yes. Hey, Word is trying to talk to the web. You okay with that? Okay.
Everything requires permission.
Everything requires permission. So, but I'm really surprised you didn't ask me about that other thing that I mentioned. The Steam Deck.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It is on its way. It is paid for. It is
Yeah. I know
destined for me.
when Maynard was here and he was showing off his, we both like put down a little $5 deposit to get on their
And you didn't get a
mailing
notification.
list. I did. I
But you
just
chose not to do it.
I chose not to buy it.
Okay.
Because I looked at it and I thought, I don't really need this. And I had gotten like the mid-tier one that's like $530.
Oh, yeah, I got the low tier
And I
one.
was like, I don't really need this.
Yeah. So,
Which is good because seeing another tech gadget that got announced this week that we'll get into, I feel like I want to save my money for that.
Okay.
But yeah, you bought a Steam Deck.
I did, and I know you're curious about it. So I'm thinking that when I get it, I may come over to your house and I'll bring all of my system. We will do a live unboxing at your house. So you can see it, you can play around with it, you can dork, I can dork, and we can all dork together because we all dork together.
Yeah. The troubleshooting.
Goalie. Is it a long story? Do you know me? Have we not known each other for over a decade? Have I ever had a story that wasn't a long story?
I will say, Goalie has been sending us links to like extra YouTube stuff he's done, like narrating a movie recap.
Hey,
that's really good.
Pop that link in here. Yes, it's really good.
That was fun. And then there's a kill count for the invitation, which was also good. Yeah. Yeah, drop those links in here. Those are really fun to watch.
So that I can link it because I mean I could go into my messages and find it, but you know. I got itch on my ankle. So what I know what I've been playing. What have you been playing?
Well, let's see. How do we stream past broadcasts?
Past broadcasts of Twitch?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. I got it. You talk about it. I got
Point
it.
is,
When I'm talking, you got it.
Last Sunday, I streamed on PlayStation Elden Ring. The final stretch of Elden Ring. Of me trying to fight Melania and then a couple of the other final bosses. Basically it was like a boss rush. And streamed, you were with me through the whole thing. I think I spent a little bit trying to fight Melania, gave up on that, went to go fight some of the other bosses, got pretty far, then went back to Melania, eventually beat her, back to the other bosses, until finally was able to beat the whole game.
Yeah. You finally got Melania done, and it was quite epic in you trying to get it done.
She's a cut above every other enemy in this game.
Yeah, I have been. Oh, where's this? There we go. There's Melania.
Yes, yes, twice. I did it. I did it with help of other people. I had to invite or summon 2 other people into the Melania fight to help me out with her.
Yeah, there were a couple of summons. Like Sunbro was one of them.
Sunbro,
he was not there when you finished it, but Sunbro was pretty awesome.
Sunbro stood out as like I summoned him for one fight and he was doing great. He was really holding his own. He was dodging. He was doing great. something went wrong though, and I ended up dying in the fight. And since then, I think we saw him once for the Radagon fight,
Mhm.
and I tried to summon him into the final boss, but didn't didn't quite get it.
Yeah. But, yeah, Melania was I am actually in the process of, condensing the whole thing down into a YouTube video, so you don't have to sit through the how long was it? How long was this, thing? 4 hours of it. Uh, just to kinda try to do a half-hour recap of the whole thing. But, yeah, it was a lot of attempts. I think I am up to cutting, attempt number 12 on Melania alone.
There were a lot of attempts.
There were a lot of attempts, some of them quite long, some of them almost instantaneous.
And some of them are like me coming in here trying to like practice the move set, trying to learn, trying to like, okay, I need to get used to her, get the timing of her moves down. It's just the
Yeah,
difficult thing about Melania is that she's so fast that even if I academically know all of her moves and know the counters to all of her moves, I,
there
I
was one of
don't
the short
I
ones.
don't have it in me to react fast enough to survive.
Right, right. And also, I noticed that sometimes it was a lot of luck. Like when your summon was on, that summon was on. But
Hmm.
sometimes the summon would not hit stuff when it should be hitting stuff, and it it really affected it. Now going back and watching these individually, I
Hmm.
really see what much more than I saw before.
Oh yeah, like
Just watching
what
it.
and that's what I've seen in watching so many videos of people fighter is like when you're watching, you can like see what she does and you can see, oh, this is exactly what Nick is doing wrong. This is
Mhm.
exactly how he's not dodging correctly. But in the moment, it's like, oh Jesus, oh shit, oh fuck, oh god, she's coming over here. I'm trying to roll backwards, but she's coming toward me, so then I try to roll forwards, and then I don't notice that this other thing is happening.
Yeah.
But it was what I think was cool about the stream is that it wasn't just Melania, it was the kind of the whole end game. And so that means I was able to fight a lot of the bosses in the lead up to the end. One of which was like uh Godfrey slash Hora Lu. But that was a boss. Took me 3 tries. Then I beat him. And I feel like that's a really good barometer for what these other bosses were like. Because that Hora Lu, those 3 attempts that I made, that was like all the bosses for the past 30 to 40 hours.
Mhm.
That was how I did them. That was like the level of difficulty that I have been facing.
Yeah, wasn't even anywhere near.
Hmm. And so, yeah, between him and then the last guys, the Radagon slash Elden Beast, they were surprisingly difficult too.
Mhm.
Um,
But now you're done. You are done with
yes.
Elden Ring.
Well, okay.
Well, wait a minute. Whoa, whoa. What do you mean, well?
Here's the thing. I realized something tragic. So
Yeah.
as I was going through the endings and
Uh-huh.
getting the different trophies for the endings, I was looking at the trophy list
Oh,
and
shit.
realizing,
You're missing a few.
you know, I'm missing a couple. They don't seem that difficult. I it's like
Oh, no.
it's like
No.
collect all the legendary weapons, collect all the legendary talismans, blah blah
Oh,
blah.
no.
But and so I went through and I had a little list, and I went through and collected. I think I got all the legendary talismans or all the legendary something. But then I looked to all the legendary weapons. And there's a point in the game when you get to like the capital city and you go through that, blah, blah, blah. You trigger something, and that then changes the map of the capital. It gets filled with ash and has result, you know, some items you can't get anymore. One of the legendary weapons the one legendary weapon I'm missing was in there. So now I'm like, shit. I just need that one weapon to get this trophy. If I started a new game plus, could I speed run my way to the capital
Oh
to
no,
get
Nick. Really, you're really considering this?
not now, but you know what? Maybe if I give it a break for a bit, I'll come back and
All right, I'll be honest. Realistically, you will never be as high of a skill level at this game as you are now.
true. Well,
I
so
don't want to talk you into doing this, but you're better off doing it now because you won't be able to speed run it in 2 weeks. You're going to need a little, like,
so
warm up.
one of the other things I realized is I was looking. So one of the cool things about PlayStation 5 is it shows you hours played for every game that you've played. And I was browsing through it to see Elden Ring is currently at 149 hours.
Oh, really? Only 149? Why did I think you had spent a lot more than that?
That is literally the second highest hours I've put into any game on PlayStation.
Really?
I don't usually put over 100 hours into a game. That's a shockingly long time. But there's one game above it.
Skyrim?
Oh god, no, I did not play. I played Skyrim on 360 and I never even put that much time into it.
What would you have played?
It's not one you'd expect, but also makes sense. It is Battlefield 5.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's at Elden Ring is at 149. Battlefield 5 is at 155.
Oh.
So in my head, I'm like, if I just played for another 6 hours.
Do you want it to be your number one game? Is that what you want to do?
Kind of.
Oh God.
Yeah, and the two other trophies I was missing were some boss trophies. So I just looked up a guide of like, hey, where are these bosses? And I found them and beat them like pretty easily because I was super over leveled.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, didn't we beat was it with one of our new listeners? Moose
Yes. Moose.
something. Moose.
Yeah, Moose something.
Yeah, Moose
Awesome
something.
Moose. Cool
Yeah,
Moose.
yes. He actually started watching us on the stream and said, "Hey, do you want a hand with it?" And we're like, "Yeah." So he jumped in and gave a hand for us, and he was great. We had a great time with him.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing the Moose hat.
Yeah, we for an honor of him. I'm trying to go back to where you beat Melania, so we can actually see your Melania fight. But
I think this might be it.
that might be it. No, because there's nobody else with you.
Oh, true.
Oh, there they are.
Oh,
there we go.
Wait, no, but I was at the Halix tree. Go.
There we go. That's Sacron. That's it. That's it. That's the fight. So I will let that play out so you can enjoy Nick finally beating Melania. So 149 hours in, sir. Would you do it again?
Not right away, but the thing about this game and kind of all these games is, as I was playing through, I collected all these weapons, and I collected all these like really cool looking swords, but they're all strength based, and I was not a strength based character. So it was like, oh, I heal all these cool weapons that I can't use.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if I started a new game plus and made a strength based character, I could play around with all these cool new weapons, and it would kind of change the dynamic of the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, like the way that there's so many options in how you can build your character that I think lends it a really high replayability. I probably wouldn't like go try to do everything in the game like I did this time.
Right. You're not going to try and complete
Yeah.
it.
But it would be fun to just create a character that uses different magic, that uses different weapons, and just
So when
see
you
what that's
play
like.
Game Plus, does it start out at a prestige level of difficulty?
It starts out, you keep the current level, and you keep like all your current inventory. It's
Mhm.
just all the enemies have kind of scaled up to match your level.
Okay.
So it just kind of keeps getting harder and harder. But in theory, there's no limit.
That wasn't where you made it. Oh well.
Chunderbox asks, how many platinums do I have on PS5? I have like a handful, maybe like 10 to 15 or so.
Yeah, you've got a few. I don't remember if I have. I think I maybe have one or two. I don't recall.
Hmm.
They got more than one.
Oh
But
yeah,
Nick
see,
has far more than me.
yeah, AC Wraith said he might do a faith-based run since he already did intelligence. We had like the exact same build, so that's what I would do as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say this is that watching that game with you for that evening absolutely confirmed in my head that it is a great game. It's a beautiful game. I absolutely appreciate the artistry of it. I absolutely think that it's probably a fantastic game, but it is not a game for me. I would not do it. I enjoyed watching you play it, very much so. But I know that I not only wouldn't, I couldn't do it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Bitters is saying this is a cool stubble episode.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
No comment about why you didn't shave this morning, sir?
I didn't feel
Do
like
we
it.
not
I didn't.
merit it? Do we not rank you actually having hygiene?
No.
Okay. Just as long as we're
No.
clear.
If I'm not going outside.
Yeah, point. AC Ray says not the exact. You didn't Dark Moon spam.
I just moon veiled spam.
Mm.
Dark Moon's another
So
sword.
I have nothing else to report except with my Crusader Kings. I did. It took me almost 3 hours when I sat down on Thursday to do my stream. I did start down to do my stream like a half hour before I was supposed to go live. I tried to go live at 7:00. I didn't actually get on until almost 10:00. Almost 10:00 on the dot.
This has been a week of technical difficulties.
Right, because I had to go back and find the game saves. And in the process of me trying to get those game saves off of the hard drive, and this is what probably had to do with one of the reasons why it was so hard to back myself up or to restore, was that my Time Machine hard drive is full. It has been full for a long time. And I've known that I needed to change that hard drive, but I didn't. And I think the fact that it was completely full at the time was one of the reasons why it was kind of chugging along. And the process of trying to get my game saves back on, I thought I might have corrupted that hard drive. It was touch and go there for a second. But fortunately, it all got back. I got my game saves. I went on and had the worst night of playing Crusader Kings I've ever had. Absolutely everything went wrong. Now I know that they increased the AI. I know that they have done quite a bit to improve its abilities, especially with combat, but holy crap, was it bad. It just I there's no words for how tits up everything went.
Was this
And
a specific type of run you were trying to do?
no, it was actually not. It's one of the
Hmm.
few times that I've started. I mean, it's not the only time, but it's one of the few times that I have started as not a king or a duke. I actually started as a very lowly count. And I did it in an area that I have not started as a count before. And it's ended up being way more challenging than I thought it would be. I started in Lviv, and there were some successions of my liege that didn't like. I had plans, and the successions of my liege did not go well. That like there, my liege, I was planning on like making some big moves. My liege ended up dying, and then handing over his kingdom to his two sons, and I was planning on going after big Kingdom A, and then Big Kingdom A got split up into A1 and A2, and I was in Kingdom A2 and didn't have any good cause to go after the king of A2, and I couldn't go after the king of A1 because I wasn't his vassal anymore. Just complexities that have to do with succession and not my own succession, and actually also complexities with my own succession. Just all just everything went wrong, to the point of, at the end of the evening, my player character died, and it got handed over to his son, his second son, because I was in the process of disinheriting sons. It got handed over to the second son, who I, in the process of trying to get an alliance, had married him off to the daughter of some king somewhere to make an alliance. And I'd only gotten it because I needed that alliance by doing a matrilineal marriage, which means my king's children were not of my house. And I needed to divorce her. And I couldn't divorce her because the Pope didn't like me. It was, as it is right now, if my character dies, it's over. The game is over.
Your family name is dead.
The family name is dead as far as a ruling family.
So what I'm hearing is you need to start an assassination scheme on your wife.
I would, but this particular character has a 0 prestige. I mean, a 0 intrigue score. He couldn't craft his way out of a paper fucking bag, this guy.
Look, you miss 0% of the shots that you take.
No. I would definitely. Actually, I think I tried to. Oh, she absolutely. I ended up getting her divorced from her, and she fucking hates me. And of course, she was.
Well, then
She was actually a commander. I mean, she was actually has a title. So when I started, I was in an army because she pulled me into her war, and I couldn't get out of it.
So when you divorced her, since it was
all kinds of
matrilineal, didn't she take all the territory?
No, she doesn't take my territory as a matrilineal. It just means that all of the children are born into her house. So I have 3 kids, but none of them are my house. I still had my titles, but she also had titles. And I was in her war. And of course, I can't back out of it because it's her war.
See, I hear what you should have done is just kept going. And you know what? After like 3 seasons, the main character died and a new character starts up and it becomes a new show.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably
what's
what's
in a
going to
name?
happen. At a
What's in a
certain
name?
point, I
No
was
one
like,
cares about
I
the
just
family
have to
name.
walk away. I have to walk away. This is the worst game. I just have to walk away. Maybe when I calm down and after not this horrible night, I will sit down and we will try to get me out of this situation.
You should try to remarry her now.
No. I already got a much better wife. I can't remarry her because if I marry her, then she won't be on my council because she's actually in her own land, covering her own stuff. I need to buy somebody who has absolutely no landing at all. And I did marry somebody who's no landing at all with great stats because my stats are terrible. So her stats will bolster mine. So I'm gonna keep going, but it is very much a cursed game at this point. Absolutely,
look,
everything that could go wrong has gone wrong.
You started lowborn. It's hard to work your way up.
Gully says, "So you're digging this game, huh?" I'm like, I totally dig this game. This is my very, very first really going hardcore into a grand strategy game, and I realize I don't know if it's because grand strategy games have gotten that good. I mean, they were always good, or if I've changed. And I think it's probably who I am has changed, but I really enjoy
It's probably a
this
little
grand
of both.
scheme. And I also probably a little, it's right, true. It's probably a little both. It's also probably a factor of that the community around grand strategy games is way more inviting. It was, 10, 15 years ago at the dawn of these kind of games. It was not a very inviting group of people for female players, particularly. Now it is because grand strategy games were kind of like those were like the big AAA games or like these big strategy games. Now there's so much branching and diversification of the games market that the kinds of people who wouldn't be inviting don't really play grand strategy games. They play first person shooters, they play roguelikes, they play whatever they like.
Mhm.
But those people tend not to gravitate toward these big strategy games. And the strategy game community as itself, as a whole, has become a lot more inviting to women. So yeah, I totally dig this game.
I remember
And
a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about trying Victoria 3.
Vicky 3 is coming out. Yes.
Oh, okay. It's not out yet though.
It's not out, and it is the big grand strategy title coming from Paradox that everybody is pissing themselves about
The
because
biggest game since Crusader Kings 3.
it is the biggest game, including Crusaders Kings 3.
Oh, really?
I have not played it. I have only starting to understand what it is, and it is Crusader Kings 3 on acid. It is so much more complex in so many levels than anything I played before. It is the grandest of grand strategy games from what I understand. If
Have
not
you-
the grandest, it's like definitely top 3.
Have you tried Victoria 2?
No, but I am watching tutorials of Victoria 2. And holy shit, Victoria 2 is the how-to videos for these are like how to begin and explaining stuff are usually 20 episodes long of like YouTubers that do it. It's that deep. So I am going deep, but I've also heard that Vicky 3 is not, you don't have to know Vicky 2 to know Vicky 3.
I'm sure it helps to kind of know the basics of the systems, what
Right.
it does different and all that.
And I'm waiting for a couple of tutorials on Victoria 3 from a couple of different content creators that one in particular that I've been in contact with that says that he's going to do the tutorial to end all tutorials. He was the one that did the tutorial. I followed his tutorials to learn Crusader Kings. He is by far that does the best. Guy named Italian Spartacus on YouTube. He also does live streams. I'm also there in his live streams when he does Crusader Kings because I freaking love Crusader Kings. So he's going to be doing, he's already said in his last stream when I asked about it that he was going to be doing a Crusader Kings or a Victoria 3 tutorial before it comes out because of course he's one of the Paradox anointed. So he's gonna be able to, and he's like, "Don't worry, Edie, I got your back. Don't worry, I've got you. You'll have a tutorial. You'll have a lot of them from me.
You have your own personal Sherpa through the game.
I do. He is everybody's own personal Sherpa, and I highly recommend that if you are interested. And he doesn't just do Crusader Kings and Victoria 3. He also does Warhammer, Bannerlords, tons of other games. Feel free to go and follow him, go into his live streams, whatever. Nicest guy, I would venture to guess, on YouTube as far as live streaming games. So nice and so good. So good. So smart. He starts his Crusader Kings episodes with a story time because he usually does, whenever he's playing in a particular area of Crusader Kings, he goes into the history of that area or about that time. fascinating. So like the first half hour is like this really interesting history lecture. And then you start playing in the game and understanding what you're playing. It's so good. So good. So, yes. That guy right there, follow him. So that's all I got for games. I'm hoping to do some Crusader. I might try and save the cursed game tonight. We will try. We may fail. And then, the game will end and I'll have to go play one of my brothers, which is not a horrible thing, but it ain't great.
Yeah. One of these this week, now that I finished Elden Ring, we'll have to go finish Heavy Rain.
Oh, yeah. Should we do Heavy Rain tonight?
Maybe.
We'll do Heavy Rain tonight, and then I'm going to add a bonus episode, I think, Tuesday night on Twitch, and we'll go back to Crusader Kings, and I'll try. I'll probably fail, but I'll try to save that game. But yeah, let's do Heavy Rain tonight if you feel like it.
Okay, I think I'm up for that.
I can't stay up very late. I have to be at work at 7:30 tomorrow.
Okay, then maybe we'll do it on Monday.
Okay, Monday night?
Yeah,
Monday night it is.
Sounds better.
All right, so remember that. Monday night at about 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Monday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, Nick and I are going to dive more into Heavy Rain to determine who's right. The answer is me. Heavy Rain sucks.
I want to say we might beat it, but I also have no idea how long that game is.
I recall it being pretty long. I don't think we're going to beat it, especially the way we play it.
I feel
running in circles. Do I need to remind you? Running in circles?
I feel like we got pretty far, but I also feel like there's a whole lot of fluff and padding in that game that doesn't go anywhere.
You think? Yeah, there is. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you're anywhere near. All right, so shall we get into the news, sir?
No, because I have played other games.
What?
Mm-hmm. Oh, now that Elden Ring is for all intents and purposes done, I have had to find other things.
Okay.
One of the first that I started playing is naturally another Souls-like called Hellpoint. This is actually a game that I tried out at PAX years and years ago. And I remember it feeling pretty good. And playing it now, it does feel exactly like a Dark Souls game. Like all of the controls are the exact same. But that just makes the little tiny inconsistencies stand out all the more because it's made by a much smaller studio and it doesn't have like the level of polish and art design that a Dark Souls would have. And normally that's not an issue, but when it feels literally exactly like that game, those little things really stand out. And one of them is the art direction. Like this game, it reminded me a lot of Doom, early Doom, the Doom 3, the one that came out when I was in high school that was like, hey, here's a bunch of like tight metal corridors through a space station, and that's it. It's a bunch of metal corridors that don't really look all that different. And so like just running through these very bland looking environments. Granted, I only played it for a couple hours. I still didn't beat the first boss. But it didn't strike me. Nothing about it really grabbed me. And you would hope that the beginning of the game does something visually to grab you and suck you in. And this one just didn't. So I don't know if I'll go back to Hellpoint. I feel like I should give it another shot before stopping. But I also started playing a game called Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. And this obviously a sequel to Pillars of Eternity 1, but you don't need to have played the first game to know anything about the second. It literally like throws everything from the first game out in the intro. When you first start it up, you get like this text summary of what happened in the last game. And it's like, oh, you got part of a secret ritual. You can talk to spirits of the dead, blah, blah, blah. You learn some truth about the gods, whatever. And it's like, oh, it ends with you kind of going back to this mansion and ruling for peace. This game starts with the giant magical statue that your house is built on top of comes alive, and in the like Jason and the Argonauts style, rampages through your home, kills all your people, almost kills you, and then just goes off walking into the ocean.
Sounds like a Saturday night.
Eh. And so you wake up after
Mhm.
you die, and then you kind of get brought back from a god who's like, hey, so this other god came back in that giant statue body and we don't know what he's doing. Could you help us figure that out? And you're like, yeah, I'll help you figure it out. He destroyed my house and my people. So you're resurrected and you kind of set sail to chase after this giant statue, and you crash onto the Deadfire archipelago, which is kind of where the game takes place. Obviously, the name of the sequel is Deadfire.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really cool way of opening the game. The whole idea of, oh, I'm chasing down this statue. And I've got a mission from the gods. But this is a dense game. It is,
Really?
it's
Hey,
it's
there's no complaints for me about a dense game. I have no problems with that.
oh yeah, and it's dense, and it's the kind of Dungeons and Dragons-esque CRPG where look, every character has all of these stats. You got willpower, intelligence, resolve. You've got like an interrupt stat. You've got a focus stat. You've got blah, 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 blah. And so as I'm looking at all these stats, looking at like, hey, build your character. How much resolve do you want? It's like, well, shit, I don't know what resolve is. Do I want resolve?
Right.
Is learning like um is it better to learn lockpicking or mystic arts? And so what I ended up doing is basically playing through the intro, which is
Mhm.
just like you stumbling through a smuggler's cave and with a pre-made character and realizing I don't like the way this character plays. And then starting a new game and creating my own character that now that I know how the mechanics of combat work, it's like, oh, okay, now I know what all these systems are. Now I know um, what a kind of thing I want to be able to do, you know?
Mhm.
I think it was a lot better. And so that's the character that I took going forward. And actually playing through the game, I was hit with this wave of nostalgia because it reminded me a lot of an old school JRPG,
Mhm.
specifically Final Fantasy VII. And you'll see it in this video coming up. When you leave the beach, you enter the world map. And the world map just has a little your character icon going through like a giant map of the world. And it really reminded me of those old school Final Fantasy overworlds where you have your little sprite character wandering around the world. And when you find like giant cities, your little sprite is the size of those cities. And
Right.
it's a different way of like manifesting an open world than actually having an open world, but it's just close enough to like the old PlayStation games I used to play that I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It hit a very unique, sweet, nostalgic spot for me. And so I wasn't quite sure what I thought about it at first because it's so dense and it was kind of hard to get into. That just they throw out so much jargon at you so quickly. But after playing through it, restarting, coming back, getting to the overworld, being able to explore, I'm really into it. So I'm definitely going to keep going with this one.
Sounds really interesting. Sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. And what's also neat is the way combat works. And
Mhm.
I wonder if I could get to a something of combat. Uh, you can play it in real time with pause, which is basically the characters they have a cooldown on all their moves, right? They'll attack, you have a cooldown, someone shoots a gun, they have a cooldown to reload, they take all these actions, and there's this cooldown. But it would all play out in real time with pause. So that means you give someone a command, then they do it, and you pause the game. And you kind of look at all the creatures, and you're thinking, okay, I want you to move up here, and you unpause, and they all move, and then you pause, give people orders, and it all plays out in real time. Or there's actually a turn-based mode. Like they've restructured the entire game to work as a turn-based game and has this real-time game. And I chose turn-based because that's kind of what I prefer.
Right.
And it actually works really well, I think. It feels more like a Dungeons and Dragons game, something like watching Critical Role. X person goes, then X person goes, then the next person goes.
Incidentally, AC Wraith says in the chat room, don't forget the free Critical Role character pack with voices.
I saw that. And when I was creating a new character, those were some of the options, is like you could have a Keyleth voiceover for your character or a Vexalia voiceover for your character. And it's like, oh, this is really neat. I don't think that means that those actors use those voices for every line of dialogue in the game. They just give those characters providing like incidental dialogues, like, I can do this, or you're gonna die now. Yeah, the type of color language that you get. Yeah. But yeah, I think I got like the special edition because I got little notices that like all the DLC was added. I just have to get far enough into the game to like unlock it. But I'm very interested to see where it goes. The story is like generally really cool that I've been brought back to find out why this god inhabited a giant statue and is now walking through the world. And
I'm all about this. I am in it. I'm. Is this on PlayStation?
It is on PlayStation. And again, like playing with the controls took a little getting used to, but like again, like with everything else about this game, once I gave it time to learn it and get into its pace of things, it worked a lot better.
Yeah. Those are the kind of games I like, when you actually have to put some effort into it to learn how to play it. But once you do, you get so much more of a reward out of it.
Yeah. And one of the things that made me really like the game is the first time through, my ship crashes onto this island. I go up north and I find a port. And I enter the port and there's something going on, blah, blah, blah. Internal strife that I will naturally get involved in because it's an RPG. And they're like, hey, go talk to the mayor. So when that little cutscene ended, I went and talked to the mayor. He gave me a mission and I left. And that's when I decided, I don't really like this character. I want to start over. When I started over and I got to that point, I thought, I don't want to go talk to the mayor. I want to explore the cities first. And in doing so, I found a whole new party member that I had completely missed before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's really cool. The fact that this whole significant thing was, I'd completely missed it my first time through.
Yeah. I love games that you go back into places and you rediscover things that you had missed. That's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the Elder Scrolls series, is inevitably you would go back and you're like, how did I miss this whole building with like the Dark Brotherhood in it?
I still, one of these days I will go back to Skyrim because there's a whole city I never explored.
Oh, you have to go back to Skyrim, Nick.
I know it's in the southwest and it starts with D. It's like Dusk something or Dawn something. Dawnguard?
Dawnguard. No, Dawnguard. Was that a city? No, I'm forgetting. I mean, it's not like I just put 200 years. Goalie, what was the name of the city? You're the one that spent all the time in let's
see. Oh, Dawnstar.
Dawnstar.
Yeah, never been there.
Really?
I saw the outskirts of it because the Dark Brotherhood is around that area.
Mm-hmm.
Never went into it.
Vice says, I started playing Morrowind again, all nostalgia aside. Mechanically, it didn't age very well. No. No,
I believe that, but also,
I did
God,
too. I went back and it was
Morrowind
like, ah,
Morrowind was so cool.
it was, but it was cool for the time. Even what was after Morrowind? It was before
Oblivion.
Oblivion. Even Oblivion doesn't really age very well. I've gone back to Oblivion and been
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, Morrowind definitely doesn't age well. I went did that recently. Some things are. It was proof to me that some things are better left in your memory. AC Ray says I need a total third person overhaul before I can really delve into Skyrim. Despite the camera option, that game is so made for first person.
Yeah, the third
It
person
really
mode
is.
doesn't really feel like third person.
Mm-mm. And it makes it very hard to actually get into fights because you don't have a good sense of where your sword is at. Vice says, but for the raw exploration, it still beats Skyrim by miles. Yeah. To the point of where I'm amazed anybody got through that game because you could so freaking get lost, and stuck in a place that you cannot get back from. So, any other games that you played?
That's it.
All right. Well then,
Yep.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
All right, let's start the news. Wait for it. Now let's start the news. Item is.
You kind of went in and out a whole bunch there.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say I can say it again. This is the GameHounds News, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer 80 and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is.
And let me make the banner for it.
What the fuck? You're supposed to have this stuff done. What's wrong with you?
And I thought I did because I was genuinely really excited about this.
Mhm.
Sony is like finally announced and like given details about PSVR 2.
Okay.
They didn't give a release date, they didn't give a price, two things like people most want to know about it. But they did they basically confirmed all the rumors about what it would actually entail.
Oh.
About like the technology behind it. And the technology behind it is really, really cool. It's got like a 4K display for each eye. But what's really cool is it's got eye tracking. And so one of the things they showed off in this this reveal video, and wait, let me bring that up.
Let me bring it up. I'll take care of it. You just keep talking. I'll take care of it.
Okay. One of the things they showed off in this video is like you using your eye tracking to select menus in a first person shooter. So like how some games will have the wheel menu, like you hit all1 and it comes up with a wheel, and then you would hit like up, down, left, right on the control stick to select a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It did that, except you would use your eyes to like select a weapon by moving them up, down, left, or right. And that's really freaking cool.
Yeah. That it's actually becoming more like true VR as opposed to with other, adjuncts that substitute that necessary tools that will allow you to move and to work properly.
Yeah. The fact that it's not just it could be a gimmick, but it seemed like the technology was being used to make the act of playing a game easier.
Right.
Right? It wasn't just, hey, here's this thing that seems neat. It's like, no, let's make playing a game easier to do.
Right.
And so in addition to that, they basically put haptic feedback in everything. They've got haptic feedback in the
Headset.
thing, so it's gonna vibrate on your forehead. It's got haptic feedback in the controllers. It's got the same DualSense triggers that the PS5 controllers do as well. Basically, like I said last week, the news that PSVR games would not be compatible with PSVR 2 is really, really disappointing.
Right.
And there's on the page, there's even like on the Sony blog page, if you scroll down, there's like here's the games that come out for PSVR 2. And it's a lot of first party things. It's like, oh yeah, that looks okay. It feels like a new console launch, basically, where it's like, hey, here's a bunch of the pickings are a little slim. And I remember looking through some of the games that they announced thinking that game's going to be popular purely because the pickings are slim.
Right.
But I do at least think it's cool that I think the technology is interesting enough that I'm still interested in it. And what they have shown off is a headset designed from the ground up to be a VR headset. And Sony seems to be interested enough in this to make like a couple big budget games for it. Like there's a Horizon offshoot, a spinoff for it.
Call of the
I've heard is
Mountain.
really, really good. So I think at least the first year of release, Sony will invest heavily in it. Who knows what afterwards, like if it's successful or not, I don't know.
Yeah, there's
but
also a Star Wars one, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition.
yeah, and a lot of these are like PC VR games that are just being adapted to PSVR 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the technology seems really cool, and they've announced it's coming in early 2023. So we at least have that vague date. But it's basically the fact that Sony has announced it, and all the rumors are correct. Like all the leaked stuff that we had heard about it is all true, but now it's getting close enough to release that it seems that the final announcements are coming in.
Right. I want to check in with you again. There were back, what was it? 2 years ago, maybe, when we were talking about we might just get a PSVR in the next year or the next generation. Well, we didn't get, neither one of us got a PSVR. Do you think that this is the PSVR that you might actually dive into?
Yes,
You
yeah.
might actually buy.
I remember, I think I'd always said that I didn't want a VR. I was waiting for the VR 2. I was waiting for the second one.
AC Wraith says, I sense an incoming head massage option and I approve. It's true. We're just that much closer to the PS2 virtual reality sex acts. We really, really are. It's just a matter of time.
Just imagine like a head massage,
Yeah.
like an ASMR head massage video game.
Head massage.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm
I think it
vaguely
seems
interested.
cool.
I think it you kind of pointed it out. It's all going to come down to the games that they have available. The more that I see PSVR games on YouTube, like being played on YouTube, the more it's made me interested in them. But it's also made me aware that I don't know that I would be interested in a VR game in and of itself. I think I would be more interested in a VR game played with other people. There is something inherently social that is, for me at least, required to truly enjoy being immersed in a game. That's the carrot. That's the payoff for being immersed in the game, is that I'm there with somebody else being immersed in the game. And, like if I can't slap you, then, slap whoever's with me or shoot you and get into like a gunfight in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, then there's something missing here. So I think if you got one, I would get one for that reason. And if certainly other people that I know, like other members of GameHounds, that would be willing to play when I play, and became more, were really involved with, actually being part of my gaming social circle, then I would absolutely do it.
Okay. We will see relatively soon in early 2023.
Early 2023. All right, so my first item is, let's see. I don't want to get to my banners. I want to get to my news banners. All right, so my first item is the GTA leak. If you were not aware of the GTA 6 leak, where have you been? It happened last week. We talked about it. That it was a leak of an unprecedented scale of insider information, of videos in like super early development of GTA 6, leaking that his location is, at least for right now, is in Vice City. It's leaked the main protagonists of the game, or at least two of them. So it was kind of a big deal, and it came via a hacker who actually took responsibility for it, who actually said that I was the one that did it, and I'm talking to Rockstar right now. And he didn't really clarify whether it was talking to them to keep them from arresting him or talking to him so that he would like stop, he'd be paid, what the reason was. But it was identified, or at least it was suggested, that this hacker also was a hacker that had hacked into Uber fairly recently, and possibly other very large companies. Well, turns out that looks like that might be the case. This week,
No.
a 17-year-old boy was arrested in the UK. And he is believed, and this was something with a massive manhunt that had to do with the FBI, with Interpol and InfoSec, and all these other companies that were, all these other governmental law enforcement agencies working together to identify who this person was. And at least for right now, they have arrested and charged a 17-year-old boy with 2 offenses. So he was arrested on Thursday. And that let's see what else. He's a minor. He's only currently known as AK because he is in the UK. 17-year-old is still considered a minor, whereas the United States, it's actually kind of up for debate whether they will charge a 17-year-old with as an adult. That's something that's actually possible. Right now, was arrested in Oxfordshire, England, and for the cyber attack on both Rockstar and on Uber. And he also, the officials there also confirmed that it was the same teenager that was arrested earlier this year for hacking Microsoft and Nvidia. So the guy was on parole for hacking Microsoft and Nvidia, and decided to hack Uber and Rockstar and leak everything.
That's just bad planning.
So he has been charged with 2 computer crimes currently and 2 counts of violating his bail. And it's thought that this, in fact, even before, it was the reason that they thought that there was a connection between Uber and the Rockstar hack is because who took responsibility for both was a hacking group that's called Lapsus. And apparently this kid is a member of Lapsus, a really fairly large hacking group of apparent teenagers that are not afraid, apparently. Not afraid of getting caught, and they're not afraid even after they do get caught. So he appeared late this week, I think it was Friday, at the Highbury Corner Youth Court. And as of yet, there's been no further update for the outcome of his appearance there. So we will have to see how that goes. But I would imagine that whatever penalty he served for hacking Microsoft, or was given for hacking Microsoft and Nvidia, that's not what he's going to get for hacking these 2.
Well, yeah, because he did it on parole for the other ones,
and because he released. See, that's also the difference. It's one thing to hack into something. It's another thing to hack into something and then release to the public, because then it is a demonstrable loss of business, a cost to their business. And that is way more serious. So even though Uber might be a bigger deal simply because employee information was lost, customer information was hacked into, but it was employee information that was hacked into at Uber. So even though it is technically more sensitive data that went out into Uber, it didn't hurt their business. It was just a security breach of a massive scale. This is actually demonstrably hurting their business. So we'll see. And I'll back this up with another half of the story. Second bit is that because of this leak, because of the videos that we saw that was leaked by this guy, or allegedly by this guy, it was very clear they were early stage of development. It did not stop people online, a bunch of real chuckleheads getting online and saying, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be terrible. Look how awful it looks. And everybody going, it was early development. Yeah, but one guy actually went so far as to say graphics is one of the first things everybody knows. Graphics is one of the first things that a game developer does.
So, okay.
Which is patently untrue.
The games industry is like genuinely secretive in a way that is, I think, shooting itself in the foot. Think about Bethesda and Starfield. The fact that for so long people like, hey, you're making Starfield, we know it. Why don't you like say you're working on it? And but it's like, no, we're working on something. We'll tell you when we're ready. It's like, dude, just fucking say the name of the game and say you're working on something. And that's what they did with Elder Scrolls 6, right? It's like, hey, look, this is what we're going to make afterwards. Deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the game industry is like so terribly secretive and bad about like being transparent about the creation process of games. On the other hand, one of the reasons they are so secretive is because of these idiots that are like, if you show them an in-progress version of the game,
they lose
like,
their effing minds because it doesn't look like a finished version.
This looks terrible. It's like, well, yeah, it looks terrible. It's a behind-the-scenes thing.
Right.
Like, you're not looking at a finished product.
And that what's worse is that these idiots are getting on and saying things like, well, everyone knows that the first thing they work on is graphics. It's like,
yeah,
what? Why? How could you even like say that with any kind of a sense of authority, as if you know? Because no, it is one of the last things they work on is the polish. That's what polish is. But to that point, because of that, and it was honestly because of that guy's tweet, there may actually be a very good thing that's coming out of this situation, in that there were a number of developers subsequent to that comment and other people's comment after the Grand Theft Auto leak that have released copies or videos of their early game builds of games that have already been released, long released, that we know that look great, and showing what their early release versions were. For example, where is it? What's his name? Paul Elrith, who is the lead designer for Control, tweeted out this video, which is, and let me move this banner so you can see it. This is in the early development footage of Control. Now, you know what Control looks like. It was visually gorgeous and really interesting, and a lot of people's, a lot of journalists' game of the year for last year. This is what it looked like in the early development footage. Take a look at the awesome it looks like a librarian.
A librarian, and also like look at the environment.
Yeah.
It's literally just matte gray shapes.
Right.
Because they're not adding in the texture for everything. It's just hey,
they had boxes that say throw me.
Yeah. It's just the shapes of the environment and how they move. Like in this particular scene, you have like some of the walls have a wood texture on them. That feels unique, because at this point in development, the visuals don't matter. You're trying to get the feel and
It's
the
the
controls
mechanics. Right.
And you can play through a really tight, good feeling game that's just filled with gray environments and gray boxes.
Right.
It's once you get that tight down, then you're like, okay, let's work on the other stuff. Oh, in truth, like you're working on all of it at the same time. But yeah, in this case, it doesn't all come together.
I love that this is happening. I absolutely love that this is happening. Is that all right? Maybe we won't tell you beforehand, but we will absolutely show you after when we can. About this is what games look like when they're in development, so you understand. But Control was not the only game that had that. The official Twitter for Cult of the Lamb also shared a video.
That was cool.
Of their early stuff. Let me pull that up. And yeah, here is what Cult of the Lamb looked like early on. Let me make this bigger so you can actually see it. But you could see what it looked like finished and what it looked like in development. Nothing like each other. Like it's so rudimentary as far as the graphics are concerned. Bless you, Nick. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Sneeze. 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 Do it. Do it, Nick. Sneeze. Sneeze.
You made me smile enough that it pushed it back, and now it's like right at that uncomfortable edge.
Torture! Torture! Yes, I bathe. I bathe in your discomfort. Seriously, it's total turn on. So yeah, going back to it, add his dream. Yeah, Call to the Lamb. Very, very different game in development. Would you play the game on the left? No, you would not. Would you play the game on the right? Absolutely, everybody is. Another one that that tweeted out was, I'm having to do double duty here with trying to be my own producer.
Yeah, I always remember like the first Uncharted game has these behind the scenes videos where it would show you the cutscenes, and it would in different squares. It would show you like the people on a soundstage acting it out, the skeleton of the mocap, then the basic shapes of the characters, like the mocap applied to basic character models, and then it would show you the final cutscene. And so you could see like, oh, this is what they recorded, this is the data they got, this is how they used it, this is how they polished it.
Right.
It was really cool to see that process.
Yep. Another one that was released, Flix Interactive released a video of the first early build of Sniper Elite 5, and saying, oh, graphics is one of the first things that we worked on. So glad that you liked our game. And it's amazing graphics in its early stage development. And nobody can argue that Sniper Elite 5 isn't a good looking game. I mean, it's just destroy the guts. It's just, I love that this might now be a thing in the industry. And that it took this guy putting out this leak and upsetting so many chuckleheads on the Twitterverse, and then finally devs like standing up for each other and going, hey, let me show you. If this can become a thing so that the general public of gamers understand what the process is, maybe we wouldn't have these adversarial relationships between the public and the developers, such that developers have to keep stuff secret, have to keep it under wraps, because there is that element of people who are just going to badmouth just because it doesn't look like a finished product. I'm just hoping that that's the case. So yeah, that happened this week, and it sucks that it needed to happen. I'm kind of glad that they got that guy, because it served no good purpose to release that information. I'm glad if that is the person that was caught, that was guilty. If it's not the person's guilty, I hope that they figure that out and find out who was. And most importantly, I'm glad that the development community is finally opening up about what the development process is looking like.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Well, speaking of leaks,
Check out these sweet graphics that we developed in an early build of Sniper Elite 5. That was the
that was
their tweet that went with it.
Speaking of leaks, one infamous leaker has been unmasked in the most laughably lame way possible. So
self-inflicted gunshot wound.
The Twitter account comes from The Real Insider, who was like a fairly big name in like the gaming leaks and rumors subreddit. And he had talked about the new Assassin's Creed games that would be revealed at
He
the
was the
2022
one that
showcase.
leaked that information of like all the names of all of the Assassin's Creed. Remember, it was leaked 4 days before it was released at the Ubisoft Forward. He was the one that actually had all that information and was dead on right.
That was The Real Insider. And now the truth is that it's actually run by a YouTuber called Dan Allen Gaming. And it turns out that a lot of his leaks are just press releases and insider info that he got and announced and basically broke embargo on.
Right.
So he wasn't hacking anything. He wasn't getting, really sensitive information. He was just breaking embargo on the stuff that every other influencer gets. But the reason that we figured this out is because someone asked The Real Insider a question on Twitter, and the Dan Allen Gaming account responded to it.
Mm-hmm. Here's a copy of his leak that made it out. Was the Real Insider: Assassin's Creed Valhalla DC, Assassin's Creed Codename Red, Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, Assassin's Creed Codename Hexa, Assassin's Creed Mirage, which were all 4 of the leaks on that. Yep. So yeah, he was logged into the wrong account and replied for a tweet at The Real Insider, and he replied on his Dan Allen Gaming. Oops.
And shortly after, he posted a video that's like, "I'm sorry, I'm ashamed, I'm disappointed in myself, taking some time off to reflect, blah, blah, blah." But
yeah, and it wasn't, you make it sound like he was just releasing press releases. What it was is that Dan Allen Gaming was a large enough influencer, media creator, content creator, whatever. He was big enough in the media industry that he was invited to these super special secret leaky things. And these happen, like EA has the week before E3, EA would always have this little kind of get together of like maybe 30 top, 30 people, that 30, or I should say 30 different either media creators, individual media creators, or representatives of places like IGN, places like Kotaku. I was able to go to one the year that they announced Dragon Age Origins. And I was there and I knew of that Dragon Age Origins was going to be announced. And that's where I got that copy of the Dragon Age Origins back, the novel that was signed by David Gator. That I think I gave out to at least one to somebody in the community. So yeah, a lot of people there are a lot of people who know a lot of things, but they are under embargo, meaning you cannot release this information. You do, some of them require an NDA. Most of them require an NDA.
Like, the NDA is different than an embargo. An NDA is like, you can't talk about this. An embargo is just, don't talk about this.
Understood. Don't talk about this
until this date.
Until
that's what
this
the
date.
embargo is specifically.
Right.
It's like,
it is an NDA with an expiration date.
Yeah, like everyone will get Kotaku, IGN, all the people got the information about the Assassin's Creed thing and were able to like write up a story on it.
Right.
And then they all release it at the same time when the embargo ends. That's what it's for. It's for kind of protecting the news so that everyone releases at the same time.
Right.
And so breaking embargo just to do that is like, well, you're not really leaking and you're not really doing anything. And it's all information that's going to come out in like a couple days anyway.
Right. And it is, you don't break embargo because you could get sued. You don't break embargo because you will never get early information ever. It is a death to a channel, a death to a reporter, a death to anyone. Reporters that break embargo, if they work for a bigger organization, lose their jobs because they can no longer work there, because that in media outlet will never get another early advance notice of something that's coming so that they could have an article pre-written and hit send as soon as it's, be the first one to the internet. So yeah. And not only did he screw over himself, he has upset the rest of the media community. He is now, his name is Dirt, because of course, when this reflects badly on everybody. Anyway, what did Vice just say?
That
bring it back up so I can read it. Because remember, we got people listening.
Oh yeah. He says, now I think about the successors to Dragon Age Origins and I feel sad.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, nothing was as good as Origins.
No, it wasn't.
When I was going through my play history, I saw that I put like 80 hours into Dragon Age Inquisition. And I was like, that's a shockingly long time for a game that I eventually burned out of because I was like, this story is so slow.
Because you never got out of the original area.
But I put 80 hours into it.
I know. I told you were doing it slow. I told you needed to get out of the early area, but you would not leave because you needed to do absolutely everything in the early area. And I'm like, Nick, you've got to go and continue the story. That's why the story is slow, because you haven't left. Well, I haven't completed everything. Don't worry about it. It is so, this is not, just go. And you wouldn't.
If I put 80 hours into a game and I still haven't hit like a big inciting incident.
You did. You hit a big exciting incident that says you need to leave. And you refused to trigger the final incident.
No, like there's like something about like a guy gets summoned and there's a whole bunch of green lightning everywhere.
Right, and that ends it, and then you have to get out of there, and then you have to take a long trek through the mountains to get to where you actually the game quote unquote starts.
Yes,
and you have no time for it. But Valhalla, it has as big, if not bigger, an opening sequence. But I don't hear anybody complain about that. Just saying.
Maybe because it's better paced. If I put 80 hours into a game and I still haven't like gotten to the game, then you have a shitty game.
No.
Your game is bad.
No.
Your pacing is bad.
You're wrong. You know what?
Bad.
When we're done with Heavy Rain, do you know
I'm not playing Inquisition again.
You're sitting with me while I play Inquisition again.
You will not drag me back to that game.
I got dragged back to Heavy Rain.
I cannot put myself through that slog again.
You're not putting yourself through that slog again.
Oh.
In fact, I'll even play it right up to the point where you should have left, and I told you to leave, and you didn't. That's on you. You were told, leave the area. That's the rest of the game. You're in the tutorial area, and you won't leave.
Because there's content there. If the game wanted me to leave, it wouldn't have put so much content there.
I can't help you.
Anyways. Point is, Inquisition sucks.
I'm not saying it's a great game. It's a good game. It's not the best one. Origins is still the best one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Vice says not even in the same ballpark. Agreed. And that's why I'm really, really hoping that they return to form with the next Dragon Age. Oh God, they need to return to form.
Yeah.
And I think that they know that they've got to now, because they've already worn out their welcome with a lot of other series. They need a winner badly. Let's settle on Vice says, let's settle. Oh, come on. Let's settle on decent for Inquisition. Inquisition was decent. It was decent. Didn't have that same like sweep you up in the story that Origins did, but it was there. It was okay. He says I wouldn't call it good. I wouldn't call it. I'd call it okay. I wouldn't call it good. He can compromise. Good. Compromise is important. AC Ray says Ubisoft and I have 25 hours in Assassin's Creed Origins and 45% completion, and I've been avoiding main story missions.
I mean, look, Assassin's Creed Origins was big, but it wasn't offensively big like Valhalla or Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the good one to get you into it. Those other two games, they were big. Anyways, moving
right along.
In a recovery news, in good news, it seems like the era of reconsidering cyberpunk is officially upon us.
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk has jumped in Steam sales charts since the release of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the Netflix anime show, which, I should add, is surprisingly good because I've been watching it and it's really, really good. It's a good cyberpunk show. Each episode starts like with this really, oh yeah, we're edgy. I've got all these mods on me and I'm such a badass gang member. And then naturally something happens. And so by the end, there's like this really deep melancholy hanging over like the main character. And then next episode starts, it's like, okay, let's get back. I want to be cool again. And so it manages that balance between edginess and like actual emotional drama. Like it's not just trying to be edgy despite its name. It's like actually looking at how these mods and how this world impacts the characters. And so, as a result of that, Cyberpunk 2077 has jumped up to the second highest number of concurrent players it has had since launch. So it's currently doing better than it has, almost better than it's ever been since launch.
And have you watched the show at all?
Yeah, I was just talking about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the new game or the way that game is now.
No,
sorry,
no.
I was fixing your bad.
What Cyberpunk Cyberpunk sales jump after surprisingly good Netflix show.
The banner words were okay. It just was spacing.
Yeah,
it's aesthetics. So is it worth it for me to watch?
I think so.
Yeah,
it's a good show.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm almost done with my latest season of my favorite BBC costume drama. So it's.
You're looking for something new to watch?
Yeah, so Cyberpunk is going to be the natural progression for that.
Okay. I mean, I will also say, in our TV tangent aside, House of the Dragon is really good.
Okay.
House of the Dragon, it's a solid, like it feels like season 2 or 3 of Game of Thrones, where it was more about the political intrigue of like of this like capital of this kingdom instead of the fate of the world and all that like grandiose bullshit.
Mm-hmm. We have a request from the chat room. Vice says, okay, end podcast, cat cam full screen now. Let's see what we got. There we go. There we go. Cat cam. This is Shepard. If you have not met Shepard, Shepard loves Nick more than any animal I have ever known.
Oh,
would love a human being.
The other
Oh,
one's
and
right
there's
there.
other floof. That's Jupiter. Jupiter the miracle cat.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Shepherd. All right, so let's see, what else have we got? Vice is laughing in the chat room. Of course we turn it into a cat. Listen, we aim to please. You ask, we will deliver within reason. See, what other items do I have? Oh, hey, are you looking for a free game, Nick?
Sure.
Here's a free game. Oh, my hair. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Free games now available. Remember Babylon's Fall? It was a Square Enix game that came out that everybody
I thought
hated. Really, it was supposed to be a live service game, and it's not good.
yeah, there was one player playing, and
But
there was a whole
one
story about tracking
concurring
down that one
that one
person who was
player.
playing it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to join him, I suggest you move quickly because GameStop is reportedly giving away copies of Babylon's Fall. This in the wake of the fact that Square Enix announced earlier this month that it would cease servicing the game on February 27th, 2023. So that's a little less than a year after it was released. So retailers are no longer selling these copies, but retailers have copies of these in their stores, physical copies, but they can't sell them. So I guess a lot of them, they're getting places like GameStop will certify them as I guess throwaway or do not sell. So what they're doing, rather than throwing them in the garbage can, they're handing them out for free to their employees who are
if it's a
handing them out
live
to customers.
service game that is being shut down, then the whole thing is becoming unplayable.
Right. On February 27th. But up until February 27th next year, you can play it. And if you want a free copy, you might want to head to a GameStop or a Best Buy and say, "Hey, do you have a copy? And you willing to give it to me? Is it in the garbage can? Because it's supposedly supposed to be pulled off the shelves. So if it's on the shelves, it shouldn't be there. And in case of GameStop, there are reports that they're just handing them out like coasters at this point. So yeah, they're called field. They're marked for field destroy, meaning that rather than sending it back to the publisher at all, because they're not going to refund anything or they're not going to pay for anything, they just want you to just destroy it in the field, destroy it at the retail store location. And one Twitter user did post photos of the game marked field destroy. So let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, there we go. I can pull it up because I'm awesome. All right. So yeah, here is you can see this is a photo of them
PS4
marked
and PS5 versions. So he's got a
PS4
whole
and
collection.
PS5 versions, and you can see it says right here, it says field destroy.
Everyone should go out and try to get these because they would clearly become collector's items later on.
They might very well be.
No, they won't. Collector's items need to be playable at least.
That's true. Let's see. Somebody did say I tried to get one, but they told me they couldn't give them out. So if you've got a relationship with somebody at GameStop, you might want to tap them for that because then you'll get a free. You got until February 27th to play it.
Vice makes a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes with the actual disc, you could use it to balance out your desk if it's uneven.
You could use it as a coaster. If you get enough of them, you can hot glue them together and make a coffee table out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It says it sounds like the game needs fan servers. Yeah. It may very well be that's the case. Well, I don't know. There were
it needs fans.
Yeah. I have heard it's a really, really, really bad game. It just plays terrible. It doesn't feel good. There's no story.
It's just mediocre.
That cat is just over the top cute right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It's his cuddle time for him. Oh. All right. So let's see. What was my item? Next item.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of a twofer. But Twitch has banned some gambling streams after a bunch of its streamers got scammed. So basically, the first story is that a streamer named Abraham Muhammad, who's known as Silker, admitted that he scammed fans and other streamers out of $200,000 to fund his Counter-Strike Go gambling addiction. And he said that basically it started as him trading skins in the game, but then eventually graduated to real money gambling. And it got to the point where he was asking other streamers for money. Like, hey, man, I need a loan. I need some loans. Making it sound like he's in some financial trouble, but he just uses it for more gambling. And so he had scammed people like, I don't know if he's got money from Hassan Piker, who's a very popular streamer. But after this came out, other streamers discussed the responsibility that Twitch has. The fact that a lot of Twitch has a gambling section that
Has a
basically
very
shows slot
significant
machines.
gambling section.
And
Had,
it's
I should say.
huge. Yeah, it's huge because casinos are like, these game manufacturers will pay the streamers a lot of money to stream it.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan had even speculated that nothing would ever come of this because it brings in too much money for Twitch. Turns out, thankfully, that's not the case. Twitch is going to ban some gambling sites. That list, as it stands right now, is stake.com, rollbit.com, dualbits.com, and Roobet. Twitch says that, like, hey, we may allow continue. This may expand in the future. And basically, these are slot sites.
Right.
They still allow sports betting, fantasy sports, and poker. It's just these slot machines. And this change will take place on October 18th. So it's kind of it feels like an announcement that came in order to get out ahead of this controversy.
And that was met with a ton of goodwill. That was for 24 whole hours. Twitch was being applauded almost uniformly around the globe because, of course, there's a lot of kids on Twitch. And even though they mark stuff as adult, it doesn't mean there aren't kids in that stream. And just because it's a gambling, it's marked as being limited for adults doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't kids gambling in there.
And it's also worth saying that the Twitch streamers that were upset about the scam were planning to strike on like the week of Christmas, which is a really high volume time for Twitch, and saying, hey, we won't stream during this high volume time, has a way to go on strike, basically.
Right.
And that seemed to have gotten Twitch's attention to pull some sort of trigger.
And it's kind of interesting now that we know what the next 24 hours was going to hold for Twitch's story, that it was the largest streamers on their platform that got together and were in solidarity, were unifying to fight gambling. And that Twitch said, okay, very quickly. Because
I don't know the second part of this.
Oh, wow. You only got half the story. Less than 24 hours later. Let's see, where did I do it? I know I wrote this. Here it is. Less than 24 hours later, after becoming the belle of the ball on the internet and Twitch being applauded for doing a really, really good thing. And it is a really good thing that they got rid. Slots should never have been on Twitch, ever. But they did, because it made them a lot of money. They backtracked, seemed like they were good guys. A day later, Twitch announces that it is changing its income shares, its percentage shares for large streamers. So this isn't going to affect like 99.7% of Twitch streamers, because the Twitch share, the profit sharing with Twitch is that for subscriptions, that it is a 50-50 share between Twitch and the content creator. So subscription, say for example, I'm just using, numbers, round numbers, because it makes it easier. $10 subscription, $5 would go to Twitch, $5 goes to the content creator. But for most really large Twitch streamers, and what's interesting is that for Twitch, most of their income, like something like 90% of the money that Twitch as a platform brings in, comes in from these streamers and it's a very, very small amount of streamers that bring in $1 million a month. They usually, not exclusively, but most of them have a unique and exclusive deal with Twitch that they can get. Their profit sharing is 70% to the content creator and 30% to Twitch. I'm sure that the rationale being that 30% of $1 million is a lot more than 50% of $100,000. Or, yeah. So it's in their best interest to keep these very small amount of very, very, very large creators bringing in money, and the way and streaming constantly. The way they do that is by giving them preferential treatment, which is fine. They announced the 24 hours after the Twitch ban of gambling that they were changing that now to a uniform 50-50 share across the board. Won't affect me or just about every other Twitch streamer. But for those large streamers, they're talking about this is a massive, in some cases, hundreds of thousands, if not more than $1 million cut in their income.
20% income loss.
Yeah.
To go from 70 to 50.
Yep. More than that. I think there's some kind of calculation that actually comes out to 24%. So
have they said why they're making this change? Because there's no way to announce this without angering people. And this is clearly like no one will take this well.
No, they do not. Well, what they have said, the official line is that they wanted to make it fair for everybody, which and I know is absolute bullshit. They do not care about being fair. They care about money. The rumored and understood to be the truth of the matter is that Twitch is losing money. Twitch is losing a lot of money. According to them, they have to spend an awful lot of money to keep these large streamers online, because they have to pay Amazon Web Services so much money every month for the hosting of Twitch. Now, Amazon Web Services,
you would think that they would get a discount.
Yes, that's what everybody's saying. It's like, okay, I understand. I get it. You're different divisions. So yeah, you do get charged, but you and I both know that you have a very preferential treatment from Amazon Web Services, being that you're both owned by Amazon. And it does not make sense that Amazon would let you shoot yourself in the foot like this with your biggest cash cows in order to do this. But what it is that everybody says is that Twitch is exceptionally top heavy, as far as Twitch has not put out a whole lot of new products in a lot of years that necessitate having that many coders all working in their product development team. They're very top heavy, and they're a little bit arrogant about how we'll never, they're kind of known for being a little on the arrogant side. So here's what a lot of, opinion makers are saying is that this very well could be the first nail in the coffin for Twitch. Yes, Twitch has some certain advantages over other streaming services, the biggest one being YouTube, but YouTube now actually offers the same 50-50 split for everybody, right? But Twitch has some nice perks as far as being connected to your community. But if you've already got a large community like these really big streamers do, the jump over to YouTube actually benefits them because YouTube can get the stream qualities are so much better.
I mean, not only that, people get paid for watching archive videos on YouTube.
Right. And people get paid for watching archive videos. And there's no big penalty of like, oh, well, you're not streaming live. Well, we're not going to pay you. That doesn't happen at YouTube. That's why most Twitch streamers will take their videos, they will condense them down into 20 minutes, a 4-hour stream, condense it into 20 minutes and stick it up on YouTube because they increase their income that way. That's why they don't do that on Twitch. So yeah, it's a lot of people are saying this could be the end of Twitch. This was a really, really bad idea.
Yeah,
And
what it
it's gonna
sounds
affect
like
the platform.
is that, Twitch is the biggest fish in the game streaming pond.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what this shows is that Amazon, the game streaming pond is a tiny little pond compared to what Amazon does.
Right.
And so even though there are big fish in this small pond, they're owned by like someone that owns the ocean. And so Amazon looking at this pond is like, I don't care what, we're going to lose that pond. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't know, just do something to get some more money out of it. And then we'll shut it down because why bother?
Yep. And AC Wraith did point out that, yes, in order to break this in for the time being, and I forgot they had a date on that. AC Wraith, do you remember the date that they were going to expire this slow process, the early process of doing this? But they said that as an introduction to this new profit sharing program, that it was going to be 70-30 for these people that are already on it, the 70-30 split. It was going to remain 70-30 for the first $100,000. And then after the first $100,000, then it's going to be 50-50. They will eventually sunset that out.
I mean, what that sounds like is stream until you earn $100,000 worth of subscribers and then stop the stream.
Yeah, pretty much. Then don't stream. Don't stream for the rest of the month.
Mm-hmm.
No reason to. Vice says, let's see, quote, we 50-50 because we all in this together. We goods, yes? We homies after all. Yeah, pretty much is what that letter said. So yeah, 2070 is actually 28.57142.8571%. Coley says, I like the hot tub streams on Twitch. Very informative. Yeah, you might see it may very well be. And I'm not going to predict this, but I see this as a possible future for Twitch, is that gaming streamers and streamers that can actually create streams that are monetizable on YouTube for very small, tweaks. Like they get rid of like 4-letter words and they don't say the R word and they don't say, other things. They use, as they say, SA instead of other words that might get them demonetized. So small adjustments would allow them to be monetizable on YouTube. They will go to YouTube because there's no reason why not to. The advantage of Twitch was that they were getting better money from it. If they're going to get the same money, they're going to go to a system that it's slightly worse in some ways, but it's actually slightly better in other ways. And YouTube can absolutely make the changes. To make this actually to make that difference smaller. And that what's going to be left on Twitch are the streams that cannot be easily monetized over to YouTube.
So
It's
what
going to
I'm
be the hot tub
hearing
streams.
is that Twitch is the new OnlyFans.
I'm seeing that as a possible future, because everyone, if YouTube, especially if YouTube makes some changes within its service to make it more appealing to streamers, that streamers that can move will move. Streamers that can't move will stay. And it's going to be streams that cannot be adjusted to make it YouTube friendly and monetizable. So Vice says YouTube has some serious problems with transparency and handling of false DMCA claims and the like. Yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
that's for sure.
Absolutely agreed. I'm not saying that YouTube is perfect in this. It's got its own issues. But, are you willing to, if YouTube can sort its act out, it can destroy Twitch. It's opened the door for it. Vice just says it's just that it is just that Twitch give even less support. Yeah. The one thing right now that Twitch has, it's still going for it in my HO, is their chat interface is more accessible. Agreed. There's definitely advantages with Twitch with community development, community connections, being able to talk to people, running polls you can do that on YouTube actually as well. But there's just a lot more bells and whistles for being interactive on a live stream that YouTube does not have. But, there's a lot of streamers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I watch more YouTube live streams than I do Twitch. But here's another advantage to YouTube versus Twitch. And I will use a personal example. When I'm working on my work computer over there, I cannot get onto Twitch. You could stream anything. You could stream out winning lotto numbers. I would not be able to look at it because I have a work blocker that blocks anything to do with gaming. But it doesn't block YouTube. So during the day, I watch YouTube streams over there. In the evening, I could come over here and watch my Twitch streams. But over there, where I spend 8.5 hours a day doing nothing but staring at a screen, I'm watching YouTube streams.
Yeah.
Music, gaming when there's somebody on that I want to watch, like Italian Spartacus, or yeah. So YouTube does have that advantage in that companies don't block YouTube.
It's
It
general
will block
enough
stream.
and
Will block
has
Twitch.
enough other stuff that it's not usually included in those
Right.
specific blockers.
And the real death for Twitch is that we're even having this conversation. A week ago, this wasn't a conversation we would even be having because the bottom line was the 70-30 split for these big creators. Now they're having these conversations. They're considering possibilities of maybe there's a better deal out there. And for them, it very well may be. It seems a shame that Microsoft, what was the name of Microsoft streaming platform?
I was trying to remember it.
What was the name of that platform that came and then
It wasn't
brought over Ninja and then went?
It wasn't Streamer. It was like something that ended in an ER, but there was no E. It was just
Mixer?
R. Yes.
Mixer. Yeah.
Mixer.
Microsoft Mixer was about 5 years, 6 years too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was it. If Microsoft still had the software for Mixer, they might want to think about relaunching it right now.
They're like, oh shit!
They'd fucking move.
Someone's like, hey, did you save that source code on a zip drive somewhere?
Yeah. You could do it. If they could get that back up, people would go to Mixer. And honestly, if Mixer was still around, that conversation, that announcement would never even have been made.
Oh, well, yeah, because they would have competition.
Right. This is why competition is healthy. AC Ray said Mixer screwed over its streamers. Someone in my Warframe clan was really hurt. Oh, I would really like to hear about that.
I mean, when they shut down, they really screwed over a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, in the shutdown, I'm sure they did. Let's see. Ryan Watt, YouTube Gaming's lead comment. Oh, can you look that up, Nick? Oh, I can't.
I
what's his-
can't either.
I can't either. Oh, can AC Ray, can you put that in the Discord? I want to pull that up because I can actually see it in the Discord channel. Or I should say I can click on it. I cannot click on links in comments here. So I am waiting for that to come out. Just put it in the general chat. By the way, if you are not on our Discord channel, you might want to think about coming there. I mean, that's where we kind of sort of hang out. Would love to have you. Here's our Discord link. It should be in our Twitch profile. It also should be on our YouTube profile. So check it out. All right, here we go. Thank you very much. And I am, I'm gonna copy link. There we go. I am going to paste the link into the screen that is sharing what I need to share with you. And there. Okay. This is a tweet from Ryan Watt, who is the head of YouTube Gaming. He says, I love Twitch despite running gaming at YouTube for almost 8 years. Twitch is where I found my home as a streamer in 2010. Having said that, this is disheartening to take creator earnings in this fashion, and I'm hopeful they will get this right long term. For non-ad revenues, regardless of size, the creator should be getting a disproportionate amount. This shouldn't even be up for debate. Creators have disproportionate amounts of work to grow non-ad revenue. They are doing the legwork to move these products, unlike selling ads against their content. 70-30 for every single dollar for a creator should be the expected norm on non-ad monetization products. Understanding that Twitch needs to generate and grow revenue, the real focus should be on increasing viewership across the platform to scale ad dollars. Infrastructure costs and growing revenue. I understand the pressure to grow revenue and maintain a positive P&L relative to infra costs. I'm certain their infrastructure costs are significant, despite even an Amazon discount. The other issue here is that meaningfully growing live watch time relative to view on demand short form is very hard to do. You need significant broadcast hours to do it. And there are not a lot of great categories out there outside of gaming and IRL to expand. Hence, growing revenue becomes challenging. You are forced to change monetization revenue share, increase ads against live content, etc. You don't have a lot of levers to pull to grow your revenue if you aren't scaling watch time substantially. This is the conundrum that live-only platforms will face.
That's what we were talking about.
Yep. The best way for Twitch to grow monetization would be not to be short-sighted and take advantage of their live dominance by adjusting revenue share, but rather leverage that dominance to grow non-live gaming viewership on the platform and help scale their ads business out. This would alleviate the unnecessary revenue changes that will drive creators to other platforms, as well as distribute the ad load balance on live content to better serve users. I am hopeful for a better future. This coming from YouTube Gaming.
Or someone who was formerly at YouTube Gaming. But
is he former
anyways,
or is he current?
He makes a good point that we talked about that.
Oh, he's a former. He's a former. I'm sorry.
Because Twitch only focuses on live content, there's not a lot they can do to grow. And like the alternative seems obvious of like, hey, use the archive, pay people for archive, use that. But they are so dead set on like focusing on live content. There's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And there's only so many streamers, only so much streams a streamer can do. Why do you think sleep streams became a thing of watching someone sleep? Because like that's a way to stream literally 24/7.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like the fact that that is a thing kind of shows an unhealthy marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Twitch has hit a wall. They kind of have. And they made the wrong move. They made the exact opposite move than they should have to maintain where they are, much less grow. We'll see what happens. I consider this to be a developing story. I don't think Twitch will continue to go with what it's going with the direction that it's announced it's going to go. And if it does, I don't imagine that Twitch is going to stay the same platform that it is right now. Something's going to change. I don't know if it's Twitch policy or if it's going to be Twitch as a platform, but something is going to change. So yeah, that was kind of the big T this week was GTA and Twitch. I'm gonna leave the rest of the T to you.
Okay. In a cool, nice news, Steam has added in some new sales charts data.
Mm-hmm.
They specifically have a page that's like a charts overview. And what it does is it doesn't show any new information, but it gathers all the old information in a very nicely presented web page or page on the app. And it just shows the top 5 selling games and the top 5 most played games for the week. And you tap that list and it will expand to the top 100 games. And it's just, like I said, it's not new information, but it's really good to see. They even have breakdowns for monthly and breakdowns for weekly. And you can see, every game gets its most played or its top selling.
Yeah,
the
we're saying the top
sales.
selling game right now is Modern Warfare 2
Now-
because it's now back on Twitch.
Now,
on Spell.
they don't give actual sales numbers because no one likes to give out sales numbers.
It shows you the rank
But yeah,
and how
it
many
shows
weeks
you
they've been in that
the
spot.
rank. So yeah, it's just one of those like cool new things. Data nerds can absolutely go through this list and pick out really interesting trends.
Yeah. Top weekly sellers this week. Steam Deck. It's probably because there was a new wave of Steam Decks coming in and they sent out the invitations. Yeah, they're not joking about this like being a huge hit on Valve now, or on Steam now that it's come to Steam for the first time in a lot of years.
Yeah. And what's nice too about the list is that it shows the change week to week. So something that like Slime Rancher 2 is number 2 in top sellers. There is no previous because was just came out. But something like Cyberpunk 2077 is currently in 3rd place in the top sellers. Then previous weeks it was 31. And so you can
see the big moving.
You can see the jump from 31 to 3.
Interestingly, Elden Ring went up 13 spaces this week. And
That's
Elder Scrolls went up 14.
We played it.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it was us. We moved the needle.
Yeah. And you can also see them what their prices are and what's, on sale, which is actually really nice.
You can see like,
honestly,
Sea of Thieves went on sale. That probably
their sale page. You cannot find good deals. It's because there's just so much. Anyway. So yeah, interesting. I will have to check that out on a more regular basis now.
And speaking of sales, did you know that Star Citizen is still selling itself? Star Citizen.
Wait, that game that didn't come out?
The game that over the past several years has like come out with various modules, various ships, various things, but still doesn't really have a game. It has recently crossed the $500 million raised.
Why are people still giving it money?
I don't know. But the game, Kotaku has a fun article where this game was first announced in 2012. And they list a bunch of other games that came out in 2012. SimCity, The Elder Scrolls Online. Remember, we were just talking about Elder Scrolls Online. XCOM, Enemy Unknown. That's
Oh
the
my
first
God.
XCOM.
Yes.
Zombie U came out in 2012.
Okay, so the 2012 was when I had my shoulder redone because I remember that was the year Zombie U came out.
Crisis 3, Resident Evil
Jesus.
6, Gears of War Judgment, Dead Space 3, Rock Band Blitz, Pikmin 3. Remember, we were just making a big deal about Pikmin 4 being announced. Pikmin 3 came out on the same year that Star Citizen was
God.
announced.
It makes you realize how long 12 years is in development, like when it comes to game development. Have they released anything for Star Citizen?
Yes, they've released things. They've announced spin-offs, modules, in-game economies, and other features. It's one of those things that it seems like because there's no publisher hanging over them, feature creep has been the death knell for this game, where they keep announcing, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But then, like, they haven't done a whole lot. I know they've put out modules, and by that they mean, the idea of the game is that it will be the space sim to end all space sims. And one of those things is like, oh, you can edit your ship. So they have a module that's like a ship editor. Or then they have a module that's like a first-person shooter arena thing of like, this is what our shooting will be like. Or you can explore the ship exploration module. And each module is basically a beta of this one aspect of the game. And they've released a bunch of those, but nothing that ties in all together to form a coherent game.
Yeah, I guess they do have a game, sort of.
They have pieces of a game. They have pieces of a game, and then they have ads with Mark Hamill. So that's probably where they're spending a lot of their money.
Yeah. I think I remember watching some streams of people playing Star Citizen, and it there were elements of it that were cool, but it seemed not baked fully.
And that's the gist of it, is it's big grand ideas that are all half baked because nothing gets finished.
Well, but they do have something that's working. It's not just vaporware.
Yeah, they have something you can play.
Yeah, sort of.
But is that something that's 12 years?
And $500 million.
12 years and $500 million gets you a demo.
Right.
And not just like not a full demo, but like several demos that all demo different parts of the game, but nothing that comes together.
Yeah. Well, a fool in his money. Lots of fools with lots of money.
Of fools and their money, NVIDIA continues to make friends with the community by announcing their new series of video cards.
Their 40 series. Oh.
The 4000 series, all of which have taken a jump in price, so that I think the lowest tier of the 4000 series is priced at the highest tier for the 3000 series.
Yeah.
Or just about there. Anyways, the lowest tier is the 4080 at $900. That's the lowest tier. The mid tier is a 16. That's the 12 gig RTX 4080. The 16 gig 4080. So it's the same card, just 4 extra gigabytes, $1,200.
Oh my God.
So 4 gigabytes gets you $300. Or $300 gets you 400 gigabytes. 4 gig. And then the 24 gig RTX 4090 is 1600.
Jesus.
At this point, and I think someone in the comments of this article made it, is it's cheaper to buy a pre-built computer that includes some of these cards than it is to buy these cards.
Right.
And basically, the CEO of NVIDIA has said that Moore's law is dead, and that basically this type of pricing should be expected going forward. That prices on video cards will no longer go down. And he made a point. He said that if you want a cheaper card, there's the 3000 series. There's the older cards, but
Mhm.
like they're not going to decrease in price with time like they did before. Things
Right.
are only going to get more expensive going forward.
There was also a couple. I mean, if you watch any of the tech YouTube things, which I've been watching this whole NVIDIA thing since it started to go down ever since EVGA broke its relationship with them.
Mhm.
Because, talk about tea. But there's, I can't remember whose it was. It wasn't Gaming Nexus, but it was somebody else. Maybe Gaming Nexus also has it. And there's a couple other tech YouTube creators that have gone into it. That these 40 series GPUs have a particular technology that require you to have a specific, not only a specific, well, a very, very, very large power supply, because they draw a fuck of a lot of power, but a very specific kind of cable, power cable, that is super, super sensitive, very likely to fail. And if you use one of your old cables, or like say you have a really, really large power supply, but it's not the kind of power supply that has a particular channel that provides information to the GPU to tell them how much power it has available so it doesn't overdraw, you could actually light your computer on fire very easily. You could melt wires. On top of that, if you don't have a ginormous power supply, you could buy this 4090 and never actually get peak performance out of it, because there's not enough power to draw, because it just takes so much power to get it at these numbers that they are saying that it specs out at. It's like NVIDIA lost its way. It's like,
it feels like this is them jumping ahead of what anything can provide.
right. It's like they built these chips, built these GPUs. They aren't building the GPUs, but you know what I mean. That they've spec'd these GPUs in a vacuum of reality. I mean, just because you can do it doesn't necessarily mean it can be done. It could be actually useful to everybody, or even a small amount of people.
They built them for the future. But the problem is that in the future, when there will be games and such that can actually take advantage of this hardware, they'll come out with the 5000 series.
Right. Yep. AC Ray says, I don't do real-time tracing. I don't have a 4K monitor. Have fun gaming. Frill the new cards. Yeah. Yeah. And NVIDIA has kind of said that, well, everyone's complaining about the price of these cards, the draw on these cards, the inefficiency of, other problems with the cards. They flat out said, these cards are not for everybody. These cards are for the elite. It's like, well, why are you making them? It's the equivalent of a Louis Vuitton bag. It's expensive, not useful, and on top of that, it's not gonna. It has the potential of giving you superior performance and superior graphics, but in actuality, it can't be any better than the games are already being developed in. Number one, and number two, if you don't have the hardware to support putting these in your system, And realistically, even some of the more expensive rigs will not have this,
Yeah,
or
because
not
remember,
quite up to it.
this is just the graphics card.
Right. You've got to
You-
share that power supply with everything.
And you need to buy a computer that would support everything else. So if you're building a computer and you want this high-end graphics card, that computer is going to be upwards of 5,000.
Right. And that's realistic. I mean, there are Mac there are iMacs that you can buy from Apple that are $9,000. That's understandable because I don't need the 9,000. These are for people, these are iMacs for like graphics companies and sound companies and movie companies that need this. Now, do I need that? Absolutely not. I can buy one for $2,000 or $3,000 and it'd be great. I will never notice the difference. And that's what they're saying, that these graphic cards are that. But the problem is that I can't the logistics, just the electronic logistics of putting one of these inside any machine. I don't know that any machine could have one of these and not have to sacrifice on some other component that to make it draw less power so that it can supply more power to the GPU. Do you see what I'm saying? We're talking about a balance of like electrical current. And it's not realistic. It's drawing so much. It's not realistic to put into any system.
And it, again, I keep going back to the games. Like, I don't know, other than overclocking it to get higher frame rates, I don't know what you would do with this card.
If you overclock it, you can't. You can't run it because it takes too much power to overclock it. You can barely run without being overclocked.
Well, I mean, like for to overclock a game, just to like unlock the frame rate of a game and get like 60 frames per second and everything. Yep. But like, unless you're trying to break a game like that, there is no game on the market that, or even that's coming out this year, that would materially benefit from this type of power.
No, it's a Louis Vuitton bag. It's having this GPU in your system to say that you have that GPU in your system, because you're not going to get the peak performance out of it. You can't get the peak performance out of it. Just logistically, you can't. And even when you do, you could melt your whole machine.
Yeah, that's also the really sucky part.
Says these cards are to make you buy AMD. Yeah. Vice says, in the future, you just got to plug in 2 power cables to run your PC. That's really the only way.
One from your house and one from the hole you drilled in the wall to your neighbors.
Yeah. You get enough of these out there, you could bring down a power grid. It would not. God, can you imagine a crypto mining place using as much as these draw? You could absolutely bring down a power grid if you've got a warehouse full of these.
I mean, at this point, that's what these are for.
But
that's what you can do with all this power, is you just mine crypto.
Right. But crypto's not coming back, friends. Crypto's not coming back.
Don't look. The crypto bros don't know that, and they will spend their money on these cards.
True.
Because they're like, hey, in order to get Bitcoin back to where it was,
we gotta make more.
We gotta mine. It's a vicious cycle.
All right, so next item.
This was just like a small announcement. The EA Motive, the team behind the Dead Space remake, announced that they're working on an Iron Man game for Disney. Which seems like a cool thing. Although it's a little unfortunate. I hope, since it is an EA studio, I hope that they get someone from the Anthem team to like help them out on that. Because if there was one thing Anthem did well, the only thing Anthem did well, is that the flying felt really good. It felt like Iron Man. Mm-hmm. So just take those systems, take that code, give it to EA Motive and say, hey, make an Iron Man game.
Sell it to EA Motive and say, make an Iron Man game. They could actually make some money on all the work that they did
Well,
on.
no, it's the same studio, it's the same parent company, so just give it to them.
Is it?
Yeah, EA owns BioWare and.
Oh,
EA Motive.
right. I was thinking you were talking about the studio. Okay, yeah, no, yes, yeah. Well, it's just because they yeah lease it to them.
Look, it's not like anyone on BioWare is doing anything good. You move those people around. They're not doing anything worthwhile. It's fine. What are they good? They're gonna be working on Dragon Age something for the next 10 years.
Dragon Age is real. Beyond Good and Evil is real.
No, Dragon Age is more real than Beyond Good.
See, I knew I could get you to say it.
Dragon Age will eventually come out or be canceled.
Yeah.
It will either one of those two. Beyond Good and Evil will just exist in limbo in perpetuity.
Vice says he has to go to bed for realsies. Nighty night for realsies. Goodbye. Bye, Vice. Night. So any other news?
That's it. There was
me too.
There was an interesting story about Madden streamers offering to like go on strike, but the only thing interesting about it was that they're upset about the drop rate of cards in the like my player mode, but they're striking because they just want better odds. And it's like this is where we are in sports games, where content streamers don't get upset that there are microtransactions in the game. They get upset about the odds of those microtransactions.
Every time I try to have faith in my fellow man, seriously, some jackass comes in and fucks it up. Oh my God. Well, any other items before we close
out? Let's see. What's going on? Let's scroll through.
No is a valid answer.
Scroll through the news, see what's going on.
You don't have to get all the news, Nick. Realistically, you never do anyway.
No, I'm good.
All right, good. So we can close out this show?
Yeah.
All right. Then let's do that. Let's close. Oh, by the way, just a reminder, we are going to be once again streaming Heavy Rain for some, well, I know for a really good reason, because Nick and I am trying to prove that game is not as good as he thinks it is. And he's trying to prove that it's better than I think it is. I hate that game.
I think we've landed.
Hate that game.
I think we've landed on a pretty solid compromise.
No, we're very early in. I remember I was interested in this game until like farther in, and that's when it started to really piss me off. So we are nowhere near where I'm going to be pissed. And I'm gonna be pissed. It's gonna happen. So that happens at 8 o'clock Pacific time on Monday. Yes, 8 o'clock Pacific.
Monday.
No, Tuesday.
Tuesday
has to be Tuesday, because Tuesday morning, I have to be in the office at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Monday I do, and Tuesday I do. So.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday night, I'm going to be ready for a lot of beer.
That's the best way to experience Heavy Rain.
It really is. All right. So, and of course, don't forget, we're going to be here next week as well. And there's going to be some, we do all of our streaming of stuff on Twitch. So at least for the time being, until we're the last one standing, us in the hot tub streams. So subscribe to us, follow us on Twitch so that you can get notification of when we're on. And if we ever decide to switch over to YouTube, we will absolutely let you know.
I mean, yeah, we stream this show on YouTube.
Oh, AC Wraith found something.
Yes,
Biden
that seems like a big story.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We want to talk about that in the next show.
Well, we can just say it said that Biden administration is going to support Epic in its in the Ninth Circuit Court review of the Epic versus Apple, and Biden's administration may even be playing its own antitrust lawsuit against Apple. Which you know what? Good, because fuck Apple.
You only hate Apple because I like it.
No, I say that as someone that owns an iPad and an iPhone and genuinely.
Yeah, no. That's
them.
Everybody fucking owns an iPad and an iPhone. You don't hate it because I use Apple and I don't like PCs.
No, I should
say I prefer Apple to PC.
No, I think they make some good stuff, but that company overall needs to get shaken up.
It does things fine. It just charges more. It does things fine. It just charges more.
Okay, that's what I say. I say fuck Apple, but really what I mean is I mean fuck the managerial middleman that has taken over all of tech industry to grossly. The reason all these tech industries make so much money is because all they do is take cuts from everything else that gets sold. They host the infrastructure, but they have gotten wildly.
They invented the infrastructure.
Exorbitantly rich off of that infrastructure in a way that doesn't justify the actual creation of the infrastructure.
Why doesn't? Okay. We're not having this conversation.
No,
this is another 2-hour conversation that we will have on Twitch, probably on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, when we do Heavy Rain.
I don't like the walled garden, and I don't think any argument can justify the walled garden.
We will have that conversation. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I think that there are arguments against it, and so I will make those.
Okay, I don't think any of them are strong enough.
I will see. All right, so you're never going to change your mind because you never change your mind about anything. But I am going to argue.
Ever.
Yep, never.
Nope. Because I'm always right.
So, can we close out the show, please, Nick? We're fucking closing out the show. All right.
Yes. I have said we can, and because I'm always right, now we can.
Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 654. We recorded this on Sunday, September 25th, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is the perpetually wrong Nick DiNicola. If you'd ever like to get a hold of us, GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record the show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, on Twitch and on YouTube. If you ever want to find us, go there, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, on a Sunday. Twitch, we are the GameHounds. YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids. The ideas as in videos. Feel free to join us. We would love to have you. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. We had Chunderbox. We had AC Wraith, of course, who provides all the links for everything. We had Vice until he passed out. We had Goalie. Oh my God, Goalie was in the chat room. We had tons of people. Thank you so much to everyone. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. But we'll see you hopefully next week. Have a great week, and we will. Oh, also don't forget, yes, the podcast on iTunes. That's the audio show. It will be up again, I promise, this week. We will dump all of the missing shows, and I apologize. It is an internet thing, computer thing. Have a great week, everyone. Please stay safe. Please wash your hands. Continue to wash your hands, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone. And we're out. Okay, we're still in the audio show.
Mhm.
Sorry, the video, the live stream. All right. Any other channel updates, Nick?
Channel updates?
Hmm.
No.
Oh, thanks for reminding me about the Discord. Yes, I forgot to mention it on the show. Discord. We're there all the time. A lot. Actually, I've been. Oh, hey! Speaking of Discord, Nick.
Oh,
CES?
right. The CES.
You don't want to see us?
CES is like, I enjoy reading about what weird shit gets shown off at CES because I feel like other than the weird shit, there's not much at CES.
It is. I mean, you've been to conventions before, but you've never been to like the big boy convention. CES is the big boy convention. Like E3 is, big, but CES is even bigger.
Which is weird because whenever I see write-ups about CES, it seems like nothing happens at CES.
A lot happens at CES. It just doesn't make the news.
Well, a lot happens, but it's like, hey, you want to see a TV that rolls up?
You want to see a TV that will fold?
You want to see it? Yeah. It's like, hey, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Moving on. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's like, am I really going to spend all that money to go there?
It's like concept tech, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah. But it's like, I'll just watch the video that someone posts on their write-up. I don't need to go there and see it roll up in real life.
Yeah, but you're not really going to see stuff. You're going for the trip to Vegas, and with the excuse of,
I mean,
stuff.
that's the thing, is that it's an excuse to go someplace. Like the actual CES is like, I stepped on a show floor, I walked around for 2 hours, and I saw everything that was interesting.
It's pretty, yeah, that's true. You go on the floor, you see everything you need to see, you kind of see cool stuff, and then you go gambling and eating and drinking. And
yeah,
you do. Yeah.
I mean, at least PAX is like, hey, here's a bunch of demos you can play. Here's stuff you can do.
Yeah, you play games all night.
Play games all night, and like here's oh, what's the stuff they have in like the conference rooms? It's not a seminar, a talk, a presentation. Like in all the conference rooms, they've got like, hey, here's blah, blah.
Yeah. No, they're not keynotes. They're
yeah. What would they be called? Just it's like a talk. It's a
the talk. Yes,
presentation.
No, not presentation. There's a word. Oh my god, I'm having a brain cramp as well.
Discussion.
They're not.
Not
seminars.
Show.
They're not shows. They're not seminars. They're not
podcasts.
Modules.
There's a specific
what is it called?
Word for it.
Yes. All right. Fuck. I'm gonna look this up. PAX. PAX events. Let's see. PAX West. Panel.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Panels.
Does CES have a bunch of panels? Okay, so at least there's that.
You could look that up. See if there's any panels you might be interested in going to. And PlayStation, I believe Sony is there. They will probably talk about stuff there. Not gaming stuff, but like technology, maybe something to do with PSVR.
Probably PSVR stuff.
Yeah, it's usually hardware based. January 3rd through 7th.
Oh yeah, they'll be talking about PSVR.
Yeah. And KJ is going to be there in the Discord, so we could actually somebody that is a GameHoundian.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out to dinner, go drinking, go have a night at the tables to teach you how to play craps. You'd be a terrible gambler, Nick.
Me?
You'd be a terrible gambler.
Doing terrible in like, I would have a set amount of money and be like, well, once I go through this, I'm not doing any more.
No, that would make you a good gambler. Your set amount of money is going to be way too small. And the problem is that you're going to make like $5 and then be like, okay, I'm ahead, and leave. Yeah, exactly. You're a terrible gambler.
I'll gamble enough to have fun, and then that's it.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing is that you'll be there, you'll be there 10 minutes, you will make $20 and be like, okay, I'm done. What else can we do? And it's like, gamble. That's what it is. You pay you're thinking about like winning money. We're thinking about like this is price of admission for having a great time.
It's just such an expensive time.
Depends. It could be. If you play smart, it's not that expensive. The problem is that if you go up $20 and walk away, then you're not having a good time. Yeah, you got $20. I can give you a $20 bill. You're gonna have as much fun. The act of gambling has to be the fun.
At this point, I feel like I'd rather sit in the sports area, watch a game.
You could do that, absolutely.
Mhm.
But you can't do that in the middle of the night. You could, but it's not going to be sports you like.
I like soccer. There'll be playing soccer all over the world.
It's mostly in the middle of the night. It's horse racing.
Yeah, okay, that's fine too.
But yeah, craps tables. I have to be very careful with craps tables because craps is a good game. Craps is a very good game. You have to know the rules. You have to know the odds, which is fine. I do, and I do. The problem is that a hot craps table is possibly the most exciting, like peak experience you can have. A hot craps table. It is the Super Bowl, the NBA, the Stanley Cup, the World Cup, everything, the best day of your life. Think of every wonderful thing that you've had happen, put it into 10 minutes, and that's what a craps table is like. It's so good that not only you can't believe how good it is, everyone at that table can't believe how good it is. And you're screaming at the top of your lungs because you can't believe how good this is. The problem with craps tables is that only rarely happens. I've had it happen to me twice in my life. And to this day, I would give a lot to be at a hot craps table.
Okay,
I would
so
sell a lot to give, but that's why
sounds like we should not play craps
unless it's a hot craps table, and then you absolutely should. But it will wreck you.
You know what?
It will wreck you.
It sounds like you should find a craps table stream on Twitch.
No, it's not the same. When it's your money on the table, and every time that set of dice rolls, everybody at the whole table is screaming and jumping up and down and hugging each other, and then the pit boss, the pit guys the stickmen are just handing you handfuls of money every single time.
That's when
handfuls of it. No, that's when you don't stop because you're already being given handfuls of money. You're putting it back away. And maybe you're putting a little more out, but you're already so far ahead that even if you lost everything on the table, you'd be fine. And you walk out $3,000-$4,000 ahead, and everybody is in love with every other person at that table. Oh. You just walk away from there, and it's like it's like you can't go to sleep, you can't eat, you can't do anything. You just want to go back to it, and you know you can't because it won't be like this ever again. Fantastic. Anyway, didn't we just get rid of gambling on Twitch, and here we are talking about hot craps tables?
Yeah,
Great.
I know.
Fantastic. We're awesome. Thanks, Twitch. All right, everyone, have a great night. We will talk to you Tuesday, and see ya. Bye.